Whenever you go on vacation, do you ever feel like there's always too much to do and too little time? Well, today I'm going to help you out with that. I'm going to let you in on some of my favorite places to go, eat, and see celebrities in LA. My sister and her husband live in LA, so I'm a frequent visitor. I've gone to most of the main tourist attractions and know which ones are worth the trouble and which ones are not. After today, you will know what to add and what to erase from your itinerary on your trip to LA. There are a few obvious tourist attractions that you're going to want to check out. The number one is probably Hollywood Boulevard. Um, it's one of those places that you're probably going to want to go to only once, because once you've seen it, you've seen it. There's always tons of people there, but it's always really fun just to walk up and down and see all the stars on the ground. And there's lots of souvenir shops that you can kind of buy some gifts for people. Hugo Martin mentioned in an article in the New York Times on February 8th, 2012, that 50 years ago, the Hollywood Walk of Fame started out as a gimmick to lure visitors um, to Los Angeles neighborhood that had fallen on hard times in post-Civil War. Um, and now it's an attraction that brings over 10,000 or 10 million people a year, so it's been really great for the city. A couple of my favorite places to go are the Grove. It's a really big outside shopping mall with tons of stores and a huge farmer's market that's really cool to walk around. And then there's the Americana, which is just kind of a condensed version of the Grove. And then there's Rodeo Drive, obviously. I would just suggest walking up and down or driving up and down that street. It's just cool to say that you've been there, but the shops are pretty pricey, so you're probably not going to want to buy a ton there. And then you're going to want to go to a beach, so uh, I would suggest going to Malibu Beach. Those are my favorite. It's really pretty, and there's not always a ton of people there. And then there's Santa Monica Beach. That one's pretty crowded, but that one's cool to go to because there's the Santa Monica Pier next to it, so you can play some games and ride some rides. And then my favorite is Laguna Beach, but it's kind of far away if you're staying in LA, but it's beautiful. And then there's Disneyland. You gotta go there. I've never been there personally, but my sister has. She said it's so fun, it's worth the money, worth the trip, and it's not called the happiest place on earth for nothing. And then if you're going to want to get some sightseeing in, you have to make it up to the Griffith Park Observatory. It's a planetarium, but most people go up there for the view. You get a great view of downtown LA and the famous Hollywood sign. The scientific director of the observatory, Dr. Crump, was quoted in a May 11, 2006 New York Times article saying the planetarium is the hood ornament of LA. Now that you know what is going to fill your days, you need to know the best place to fill your stomachs. A few of my favorite places are Umami Burger. It's a cool gourmet burger place with a really fun atmosphere. And then you're obviously going to want to go eat some sushi while you're out there on the coast. If you go to any sushi place, you're probably going to get some great food, but from my experience, my favorite place is called Sushi Roku. And then there's a really cool little Italian restaurant called Little Dom's. It's really famous. It's been featured in a bunch of shows and a bunch of movies, so it's cool to say that you've been there. And then if you want a really fun experience, you have to go to Korean barbecue. They bring out tons of raw meat, and then you get to cook it right there in front of yourself. I would suggest going to do that on a day that you don't have anything else to do afterwards, because you're going to come out smelling like smoke. It's inevitable. And then if you're going to have to get some dessert after that, you need to go to Scoops. It's a little hole-in-the-wall ice cream parlor, but they make new flavors every day, and it's really great. These things are fun, but if you're like me, a trip to LA isn't complete if you haven't had a celebrity sighting or two. A few places that you're guaranteed to see celebrities are the Grove, like I mentioned earlier. They film extra there, so you're guaranteed to see Mario Lopez or Maria Menounos interviewing a celebrity. Make sure you check out extratv.com every Sunday to get a list of the week's celebrity interviews. And also, the restaurant I mentioned earlier, Little Dom's. Every time I've been there, I've seen at least one celebrity. And then, you gotta go to a show taping, such as Ellen, Chelsea Lately, Jimmy Kimmel. You just get on their website, and the greatest part about it is that the tickets are free. Now that we have established some of my favorite places to see, eat, and celebrity stalk, I would encourage that you check some of these places out in order to get the full experience of LA. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. Well, what happens in LA sets the trend for a day. Well, what happens in LA sets the trend for today.